Welcome to the March 2025 Jupiter Real Estate Market Update, Single Family Homes Edition. I create these videos so that buyers and sellers of real estate in and around Jupiter can make data-driven decisions. The median price of a single family home in Jupiter is now $957,500. My name is Casey Prindle, your Jupiter Realtor. If you're considering buying real estate in Jupiter or selling real estate in Jupiter, please feel free to call or text me. My phone number is 786-443-7203, or you can email me, caseyprindle@gmail.com. Data in this report is going to run 30 days behind. That's why even though we're in March, you're going to look at February data. It just takes a little time to aggregate it. Stick around to the end of the video and I'm going to give you some of my extra special thoughts and insights on the market. All right, everybody. How we been? How we doing? All right, let's get into it. Median sold price. I will apologize in advance to those of you that have been listening to me for a little bit, because you've heard me say this a bunch of times, but if you're new to it, I don't put a whole lot of stock into median pricing. Basic reason is the sample size in Jupiter is just too small for me to find any real benefit in tracking this too closely. What I do say is just kind of look at the overall trend to give you an idea of where pricing is, which is to say it's probably up over the last 5 years, right? Significantly. That said, could be some rocky roads ahead. I've pointed this out in the past. If you were somebody who bought at a median price above today's levels, just call it the $1 million line, so all these little peaks above there, those represent trapped sellers or sellers that would have to sell at a loss if they wanted to sell today. So that the more of that pops up, the more potential that we have for defaults coming through. So just a little something to think about there. All right, number of properties sold. All right, 68 sales. Down from, I believe it was 90. Yeah, 90 sales February of last year. So sales are still slowing. We're on the bottom of this chart, no doubt about it. Sellers, we'll get into it down the line a little bit, but you have been incredibly lucky that there's not a whole lot of inventory coming to market. If sales are slow and more inventory hits the market, that's going to be a tremendous headwind for sellers. So just kind of keep that in mind there. But overall, I think, number of sales is weak. That would be my basic takeaway here. Okay, so last month I kind of pointed out, looked like we were about to break this downtrend line. Look at that. We ended up bouncing straight off the trend line and down. List to sold price. This is the price of property sold compared to its original listing price. The higher we are on this chart, say back here, the more that sellers are in control, means there's little to no room for negotiation on price. The further we get down this chart, the more buyers have room to negotiate. So buyers want to be low on this chart, sellers want to see a higher number on this chart. Keep in mind this doesn't account for price reductions, so if somebody lowered their price 4 or 5 times, this goes from the original listing price. It doesn't keep incrementally taking that margin lower, so it is a pretty true statistic to track anyways. My takeaway here is probably going to be that sellers have gotten the message that they need to price more aggressively. That's what I think anyways. We'll see kind of how it plays out, but look, if you have aspirational pricing right now, if you're putting a house on the market and you're trying to go top of the market and your price is above where it should be, I think you're going to be setting yourself up for disappointment based on the statistics. All right, median days on market. This is the number of days a property was actively listed before it went pending sale. This does not account for the time when it was under contract. So if somebody was on market for 30 days, active to pending, and then the closing was another 30 days, it does not reflect as 60 days, it's going to reflect as 30 days. Got it? Good. All right. Obviously, the more days it takes to sell a house, the worse it is for a seller. The lower the number of days, the better it is for a seller, right? We are climbing back up here. I'm not going to be surprised if we see this climb a bit more. Couple of things to note here. First and foremost, look, 50 days is not a terrible amount of days. But also understand, if you're coming into the market and you see something on the market for 14 days and you're coming from the Northeast where something sits on the market now for 72 hours, you're going to look at this and say, oh boy, I can really go to town and submit a low offer. You can't. Understand that 50 days is average right now, especially in some of the more difficult markets, higher dollar markets especially. Those numbers are going to drag out. It's not going to be unusual to see things approaching a year. So that's kind of how to interpret this statistic. Again, I think it's going to grow a bit just based on what I'm seeing and how I'm feeling about the market, but we shall see. All right, median price per square foot, just like median sold price. I do not put a whole lot of stock in this. I don't think you should either. Only thing to really take from this, median pricing is up over the last 5 years. I think you can say that, even though it looks like we're starting to stagnate here a bit, right? Over the last number of months, or now years. Looks like we're just kind of bouncing around here between $400 and $500 a foot. Look, here's the cliff notes. Stuff in better condition is selling. Better condition is going to sell at a higher price per square foot. Problem with the Jupiter area is that you're lumping in waterfront and non-waterfront sales into this median pricing. Again, I don't take too much from it, but let's go on to total dollar volume. Boy, do we have to look into this statistic a little bit. 106 million, just shy of 107 million. Now on this chart, you look at that and you say, oh, well, the market looks pretty weak. That's kind of on the low side of this chart. Well, the sale at, let me get the address, 152 Bears Club Drive happened for 48 million. What happens if you take 48 million out of this 107? We are way down here on the chart, right? That one sale buoyed these prices a lot. So this is, to me, kind of a false chart for this month. Look at that. Stuff you can only find if you come here. Look, low number of sales. Take total dollar volume as you will. Look, use it as an overall gauge, sure, whatever. Let's get into something that I do put a lot of weight in, because over the last few statistics, you're probably saying, well, what in the world does this guy find valuable? Month's supply of inventory. All right, I have said this over and over again. You give me one statistic to let me know how the market is doing, I'm going to want to see what do the months of supply look like in a given area. And that's going to tell me a whole lot more than much of anything else, aside from the number of sales that are actually taking place. So, months of supply, up 10% over the last 12 months. For those of you that want some context, back here in March of 21, right? A lot more supply now. Higher supply means buyers have a lot more choice, right? Low supply means they don't have much choice. The higher we are on this chart, the more choice they have. All right, so there are two things that really change this chart, and that's the total number of listings and the total number of sales. If you have fewer sales and higher listings, then your supply is going to go up, right? That's how it works. I do want to give one caution that I'll just kind of throw out there, which is, look, you need to contact me and tell me about the marketplace that you're looking in so we can apply these things correctly. These statistics are going to apply to stuff in Admiral's Cove the same as they're going to apply to stuff in Jupiter Farms, right? You know, apples to oranges kind of product types. The reason I kind of caution that is because you have to tell me, if you're looking at waterfront, we have to pull a different set of numbers so that you'll know what supply really looks like. Versus if you're looking in the farms, you know, sales are pretty brisk in the farms right now. It's going to look different. So anyways, that's what I got for you there. All right, let's give you my final thoughts. We're going to quickly talk about insurance. Insurance has been on the news here in Florida. It seems, shocked as I am, that the insurance companies, homeowners insurance companies, were hiding profits, saying they had to raise rates on homeowners because they were losing money, when in fact they were shifting money into related entities and they were profitable. Again, call me shocked. Look, I hope the legislature starts to make some meaningful changes to the property insurance market. It is one of the things that is absolutely hampering prices and sales. So I hope they can kind of get that worked out. While we're on the topic of insurance, let's talk about roofs. I've brought this up before. I think it's worth noting again because it just keeps cropping up. Look, when somebody goes to buy your house, they're going to do a 4-point inspection in order to get homeowners insurance. That's going to encompass plumbing, electric, air conditioning, and your roof. If your roof is older than 15 years, we're running a more and more likely scenario where the buyer of your property is not going to be able to get insurance. So when you meet with me, I'm going to ask you about the age of the systems in your home. The reason I'm asking is I'm really trying to figure out, is your home insurable for a new buyer, or is it going to be very difficult for a new buyer? If it's going to be very difficult for a new buyer, I'm probably going to tell you, you want to put a new roof on the house, because if you don't, you may just not be able to sell it. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, this stuff is popping up all over the place. So be very cognizant of it, and understand it's a conversation that you're going to want to have with a real estate agent if you are considering selling your home. And if you're considering buying one, you're going to hear me, if you're working with me over and over, every listing we go to, start to ask about age of the roof. The agent doesn't know it. I'll look in the permit history to find it. We got to know. Super important before making offers. That's what I got for you guys. Hope you've enjoyed it for this month. Again, I make these videos because there are really two types of realtors that are out there. There's the type of realtor that consumers hate, which is they open a front door and say, look at how pretty the kitchen is, and expect to collect a commission check. That's not what I do. I take a data-driven approach to real estate. I try to earn my keep. So thanks for watching, guys. Please feel free to reach out to me. 786-443-7203 is my cell phone. CaseyPrindle@gmail is my email address. Let's talk. We'll see you guys next month.